Hello, 7th graders. This is Miss James. Today we're going to be talking about sensory details and how writers use them to improve their writing and make it more vivid. So let's get started. To start with, we need to ask the question, what are sensory details? Well, you might see in the word sensory our word senses. So sensory details are details relating to the five senses. And these are hearing, sight, touch, smell, and taste. So these are details that authors use in their writing that give a sense to the reader of what it would be like to stand there, to hear, to see, to touch, to smell, and to taste actually what's going on in the story. So why do authors use sensory details? Well, sensory details make the story more interesting. They also help the reader picture the setting. And they help the reader to feel engaged in the story. Again, this is where you really feel like you are standing there. You are in those characters' shoes. And this is the difference between a boring story with not very many details, such as a girl walked her dog, and an exciting story with a lot of details. A frazzled woman with yellow curly hair was pulled drastically by her dog as he ran off towards the distance. So how do you add sensory details to your writing? Well, there's two main ways that we can do this as writers. The first is through descriptive language. Descriptive language is language that describes what's going on. Now we use adjectives and adverbs in our language to add more description. Adjectives are words that describe nouns. So anytime we are describing a place or a person or an idea, we use adjectives. Small, blue, powerful, crazy. These are some examples. Adverbs are words that describe verbs. So anytime an action is happening, an adverb gives us more information about that action. So quietly, angrily, timidly, crazily. These are all adverbs, describing and giving more details to the actions or verbs that are happening. Now, a second way is figurative language. This is language that is adding description through comparison. So we have two main types of figurative language that we're focusing on just for today: similes and metaphors. You might be familiar with these words, but oftentimes people get them confused, so pay attention closely here. A simile is a comparison using like or as. So for example, this pizza is as cold as ice. In this comparison, I'm comparing pizza and ice, and you get more description, more rich figurative language here than if I just said, oh, my pizza's cold. Similarly, we have metaphors. Metaphors are comparisons without using like or as. In this case, you say that one thing is the same as another thing, and so you're comparing them, but you are not saying that they are like each other, you're saying that they are the same thing. For example, Sally was a bear in the mornings. So from this, I know Sally is not a morning person, but more detail is given because we now have this picture of an angry bear who is upset and gruff, and we are picturing Sally as the same thing as this bear, and it gives us a really rich picture of what she's like in the mornings. So again, our two main ways of adding sensory details are to include a lot of descriptive language, including adjectives and adverbs as we write, and also to include figurative language, adding similes and metaphors into our writing to give a picture to the reader about what we are talking about. So now you are going to try Once your notes are complete, you are going to raise a hand and your green lanyard will give you a gummy worm. And you are going to study it carefully, and then you are going to record your description of that gummy worm using your five senses. Now, I would highly recommend you take care of the first four senses before you eat the gummy worm and describe its taste, because you cannot go backwards. Make sure you are adding in lots of descriptive language, lots of figurative language, some similes, some metaphors, lots of adjectives and adverbs, and good luck.